it this past Halloween weekend, and it is spilled into the Maple Leafs roster. What's going on, everyone? And welcome to Season 2, Week 7, Episode 7 of the Leafs Line Podcast. I am Russo, and joining me for this spooky, I gotta stop with these puns, this Halloween episode of the Leafs Line Podcast, I guess you could say, Evan Davis, Jared Rottenberg, and Adamo Ramoli. We got a lot of things to unpack. It's going to be a fun episode. Halloween has spilled into this season, and we got a lot of things to talk about, and maybe even spilled into the trivia that we we will be getting into before the show concludes. And I want to start off with, since it is Halloween and it just passed, and what a quick turnaround it's been. I was out this afternoon, and all the Halloween stuff is gone, and it's right to Christmas. Like I think it's one of the quickest turnarounds for a holiday, and it's not even a holiday, just one of the festive events on the yearly calendar. Halloween, November 1st, once it hits, and you see with your cell phones, they all reset this morning, so even they're a little shaky. But
that was weird.
That was extremely weird. I didn't know what was going on, but I had a feeling it had to do with this quick change between Halloween and November, because Christmas is coming, and we are, I guess, closer to Christmas than it feels than Halloween. But I wanted to start off with this in the eve and in the spirit of this past spooky season. You have three candies: start, bench, cut. Who are you starting? Who's taking some of the pine, and who's not making that roster? Evan, take it away, man. I know the candies might be a little different in the US, but here in Canada, we have to flex some of our muscles here.
All right. Well, I'm starting Twix. I'm benching Skittles, and I'm cutting Almond Joys because I can't stand coconut.
I'm in the same boat, man. Coconut is not something that I have to go with.
Wait, so how are we doing this? Is it like the best candy, like average candy, and like
worst candy that you would get that you're just
like, I guess
whipping out
you love, something you don't mind, and then something you're throwing back at the homeowner?
Okay. Can I go? Because I have a very
it doesn't even have to be candy if it's that bad. It could be some of those other things they give you.
That's where I was going with this.
Pretzel.
I'm gonna say Star. I was supposed to say Starbucks. Starbursts. I love Starbursts. I don't know. Bench, like, it's an average. I guess Skittles are good. I'd put them close, but they're a good candy. I'll always like them. Bench or cut, chips. If you are one of those people that gives chips at Halloween, and my mom is guilty of this because we were giving it to. We live on like a court, so not many kids come. So we had a shit ton of chips. I can't stand when I used to get chips as a kid. That's not what I was after.
That could be a Canadian thing. I've never seen that in the.
Really?
Wow. I've never seen people give out chips. Like, are you talking about like Doritos?
No, like Doritos, Lay's, everything.
No, I've never
Getting
seen
one
people
of these.
give out
You
chips.
get one of these, and
no,
really,
I never got that.
You can see how much he dislikes the chips.
I
not good anymore.
I don't dislike chips. Chips are fine. I like chips, but like I'm going. It's the one time a year I get candy, and you're handing me chips. Oh.
I gotta go look in the archive, see if Marner did a chips advertisement, because that could play a role into why this guy's whipping the chips across the wall, because those two do not go hand in hand. And Jared, I have to turn it over to you. Who you start bench and cutting?
Okay, easiest start in history. I'm going to say Kit Kat right away, like penciled into the starting lineup. First overall pick, maybe starting center. Easily Kit Kat. I love Kit Kat. But after that, it gets tough. I don't know. I kind of back the chips answer for who I'm cutting. That's just not what I want on Halloween. Maybe if you're giving like fruits and vegetables, get the fuck out of here. If you're giving out fruits and vegetables to kids on Halloween, you're done. So maybe that's what I'm cutting, whether it be chips, just anything that isn't candy, get out of there. That's not what we're looking for on this holiday. But what I'm benching, really not a big coffee crisp guy. I think I'm benching coffee crisp.
They're so bad.
Yeah, coffee crisp doesn't get any love, and I have to agree, man.
My best friend
I genuinely used to like it. I used to like it. I don't know. I used to love it. Then all of a sudden, like, it was my favorite out of like the Aero, the Kit Kat, the Smarties, like that core four, like the Nestle ones. Yeah. I used to love coffee crisp, and it just, as of recently, I'm just like, what was I even thinking? I don't even know. But Kit Kat, easily the way to go.
If we're talking about like cutting things, I think Smarties. I think they're terrible. They're like
overrated,
so
but not terrible.
They're so Canadian, but they suck. Like M&Ms are 100 times better, and I'm not a chocolate guy either. I don't like many chocolates. The Smarties suck. I hate them.
I love Smarties.
He also is probably thinking of Rockets. He's thinking of the wrong type of Smarties.
I love
Rockets are
the
good.
chocolate Smart. I like when I was saying Smart, like I mean like the chocolate ones, not the Rockets.
Oh, so he's adapted to the Canadian ways.
Yeah, he's such a Canadian.
Such a Canadian. And I mean, I have a big sweet tooth myself, big chocolate guy. If I had to give my list a quick rundown here, you're going with the Reese's Pieces, the peanut butter, and the chocolate. Unless you're not a peanuts guy, I don't know. A couple buddies of mine can't have it because they will collapse on the floor, and you'd have to get into the emergency room. But me,
that'd suck.
Oh, yeah, it would suck. It would definitely suck. But me, I don't know. I love those things. If I'm benching one, it's got to be Kit Kat. Got to stay on the course. I know Jared loves it, but I don't know. Reese's outweighs the Kit Kat for me. And I mean, if I'm cutting anything, it's a tough one. Not a big Skittles guy. Guy. Yeah, controversial take. Controversial take.
That's such a
it goes back. I had braces growing up, so they would always get stuck. That's just an infamous memory burned into my mind. So that's kind of the reason why I had to kick Skittles to the curb. But I mean, I don't know how to transition from this one, but Halloween was fun. I don't know about you guys. I had a great time. We had a lot of parties going to, a lot of fun nights. I'll tell you that much. My basement got destroyed. I had the host one. Let me tell you, it was not a fun cleanup. That is for certain. But you live, you learn. Anyways, a team that has been learning slightly and a little bit more than we can say of last week will be the Toronto Maple Leafs. They are on the topic in the forefront of discussion on episode 7 of the Leafs Line podcast. They downed the Red Wings to pick up their first win streak of the year. It's at 2 games. I heard a win streak was 3 games. I always thought it was anything over 1. So I'm sticking with my gut here. It is a win streak nonetheless. They got 2 wins in the books. We're also going to be discussing Rielly signing a massive deal, 8 years, $60 million. I believe it comes up to a 7.5 AAV, if I'm not mistaken. And Adam Fox, he was handed some big money as well. Just recently, this evening, as I was eating my dinner, 7 years at 9.5. The kid got paid, and rightfully so. The reigning Norris winner deserves every buck he got. We'll be getting into that as well. And these other 2 sort of little discussions we'll have. Caufield's demotion. What does it mean for the Montreal Canadiens? And we'll also, in the same breath, talk about the Montreal Canadiens as well. They've been scuffling a little bit, losers of 2 straight and sit dead last in the Atlantic. So it's not a fun time in Montreal. And it's looking like my hot take from our opening episode is somewhat living true, because I said Bergevin might get sacked before December 1st, and it's not looking too pretty right now. It could be wrong, but as of right now, it's tough going in Montreal. And the Caufield one is a pretty big news to look at, because it caught me off guard for sure. But is this the best thing for his development? We'll get into that as well. But to lead it off, the Toronto Maple Leafs winning and picking up a valuable 2 points against the Detroit Red Wings. They took down the Red Wings by a score of 5-4. And it was a game of firsts for some Leafs players, including Richie finally registering his first point as a Leaf, Mrazek registering his first win in a blue and white uniform in the regular season. And I mean, I just want to touch upon Nick Richie for a bit, because he did get that point. But do we write off Nick Richie just yet? I hate to say it after he gets the point, but I don't know. The experiment hasn't been working too much. We tried him on that top line. Dubas and Keefe were on pretty high regard with him being there. It is leaps and bounds of how bad it is. He just can't keep up with those big boys there with Matthews and Marner. So that one was a failure. You move him down another line, and still he's unable to pick up the pace. The chemistry isn't even there at all. And now he's demoted all the way down with the old farts there. I wouldn't call them old farts, because Jason Spezza is wreaking havoc, if I guess you could say, on the score sheet. So he's sitting down on the 4th line. Is it a failed experiment? Are you prepared to write him off just yet? Because it hasn't been looking too nice for Nick Richie. I had high anticipations for him. It's not looking pleasant. I'll start with you, Adamo. What do you make of Richie? Just quickly, because I want to get into the other stuff, especially your boy Mitch Marner breaking his 16-game goalless drought. But again, let's stick to Richie here. What do you make of him?
Yeah, for sure. I kind of like him on the 4th line. I'm not going to lie. I don't like the cap picks. What's he making? 2.5? I think it's 2.5 for 2 years. That's not 4th line money. That's like 3rd line, low end 2nd line money. I guess not 2nd line, but like a $2.5 million guy can play in your top 6. You know, they're not all getting 5 mil, but I think he just looks out of shape. Like, that's the big thing. I think he's gotten better, and maybe that comes with getting into game shape, maybe playing less minutes on the 4th line and kind of easing your way in there. I like him in front of the net too on PP2. I think he's an underrated piece to that power play too. Yeah, I keep it short and sweet. Definitely don't write him off, but I don't think he's going to hit these lofty expectations that we thought.
Yeah, and I mean, I was part of the crowd that thought he was going to be a decent producer on the top line. I thought he was going to fit just well and just fine with the absence of Zach Hyman. He's no Zach Hyman, mind you, but I thought he could maybe replicate some of that game style. You mentioned going in front of that net, which he has been, which I do credit him for, but just the points aren't there. I expect to see a lot more coming from a guy making 2.5. And like you said, playing on the fourth line, it's not something you want to see from when you're looking at the dollars and cents here, but I guess we'll have to see. He's improving. It's slowly but surely. I don't think he's going to get another shot at the top line. And if he does, I still don't think he's going to keep up because it was just, I was really astonished seeing from preseason and it transitioning into the regular season, how bad he was with those fast players. Like it's very evident. I haven't seen it with any other player. Like I remember Joe Thornton. I think he's the closest one where when he was put on that top line last season, you knew he was a step behind. He couldn't keep up anywhere. But Joe Thornton and Nick Richie, very big age gap, especially when Joe Thornton, I believe, is in his 25th, 26th year in the NHL, something around there. So, and I don't want to get into this tangent on Joe Thornton, but I think it's very safe to say that the Nick Richie experiment hasn't been working so far. And it's maybe it'll start clicking on the fourth line, but as it is in the top six, it's not looking like he's going to make a return anytime soon. And Mitch Marner made a return to the scoreboard. Finally, we got to see him register his first goal as a Maple Leaf, and it was gift wrapped by Nick Leddy. It was a ridiculous play there. It was actually the eventual game-winning goal, which was nice to see. The Leafs win that sort of way. Usually goes the other side, but Leafs finally pulling off a victory on one of those blunders. And Tavares will register 3 points on the evening, extending his point streak to 2 games. So, I mean, nothing major there, but again, he's got 4 points in 2 games. Pretty nice thing to see from your captain because he did scuffle a little bit out of the gate, like many of these Maple Leafs did. So a pretty complete game by the Maple Leafs. Jared, what are your takeaways from that Saturday night contest against the Detroit Red Wings?
I mean, admittedly, because it was the Saturday before Halloween, I didn't see the entire game. I watched the first 2 periods and then went out to a party. But from what I saw in the game, I really liked it. I mean, it seemed, at least the way we started, it was a pretty complete hockey game. I loved what I saw from Liljegren. I think he just looked like such a confident player out there. And I actually really like that Liljegren-Sandin pairing. I think it's clear that they have chemistry from, I guess, playing in the Marlies together. They obviously have the chemistry. They were having fun out there. They looked like confident players. They looked like players that have been in the league for a bunch of years. They didn't look like rookies to me. So I really liked what I saw overall. Obviously, I mean, I didn't see the third period, so I didn't catch the Marner goal. Obviously, I figured I was keeping up on my phone, looking at the highlights, looking at the score. But I mean, the fact that he even buried one is a pretty big thing for him. He has looked better in the past few games. He's been looking more like himself, looking more confident. But to see him finally put one in the back of the net, doesn't matter how it went in. Obviously, I watched the highlight. It was not a pretty goal, probably not how he envisioned his first goal of the season. But whatever, they don't ask how, they ask how many, and he's at number 1. He put in the puck. Hopefully it kind of opens the floodgates. Hopefully it starts him off kind of going more, gets him more confident. And overall, I liked what I saw from the game and the fact that we got our second win in a row after a lot of people were panicking and ready to write off the season, were stressing. It just gives all of Leafs Nation, it gives the players, it just gives everyone kind of a sense of ease early on in the season that, okay, we're going to lose some, but we're going to win some as well. Winning 2 in a row, there's nothing better than that. Obviously, we want to keep this going. Because like you were saying, I mean, winning 2 in a row, it's not exactly a streak. Like it's just kind of, we won 2 back-to-back games. Let's see if we could get it going, though, see if we could keep the pattern alive. And I'm hoping to see more games like that because at least from what I saw, it seemed like arguably one of our most complete games of the season. I really liked what I saw.
And I mean, I know it's going to sound pretty obvious what I'm about to say, but a win is much better than a loss. And especially coming into this game, like if the Leafs barely, Adama, I know you mentioned it off the last podcast and it really resonated with me. And a lot of what I've heard in the Toronto media as well, you're supposed to be killing the Chicago Blackhawks and they just squeeze out of there by the skin of their teeth with a 3-2 overtime victory. It's a victory nonetheless, but that's a team that you have to pound, especially with how they've been looking so far this year. And I mean, I'm checking the scores right now. It's looking a little bit better. They're off to a decent start against the Ottawa Senators, but you still have to pound those teams. And I think Detroit was another example of that. And if they fell short of that game, I think we'd be back at the drawing board and throwing out these sort of drastic opinions and maybe starting to bring in the panic button a little more because you haven't heard it since last week. So It just goes to show how desperate the Leafs were for another win. And I think it's going to go to looking like that in tomorrow's game against the Vegas Golden Knights, which we will tee up, and in the other games to come, because I think it's going to be a common theme with this squad. And I think the Detroit game rather on Saturday night, which is something that shows that a win can do wonders for this team. They got 2 wins. Again, it doesn't mean much, but it's something that did mean much from that game that you mentioned as well, that Sandin and Liljegren pairing, and as well, the whole shuffling of the defensive core. You had Hall, he was a healthy scratch. He's been brutal to start the season. And what I do like seeing this from Dubas and Keefe as well. I don't know who really makes the calls there, but that if you're not playing bad, if you're playing bad, you're going to sit. You need to learn your place in the team. We're putting in players that are going to play good. We want the guys, our best starting 18 or whatever you want to call it. You want all those guys on the ice. And if Hall's not the one who's doing it after a terrific season last year, which you cannot take away from him, it just hasn't spilled into this year. And I'm hoping stuff can click. He's a great defenseman by any means. A lot of people I know tend to go on the other side of the coin and say how much they hate him, but I still see a lot of potential in Justin Hall. Kyle Dubas especially sees a lot of potential in Justin Hall. I just think he's had a tough opening stretch of games in the regular season. So I want to touch upon this defensive core because it was actually interesting to see Dermott and Rielly, their old line mates, old defensive pairing, get back into the mix. You had Brody Muzzin, who they ended up producing a goal. And I kind of like that pairing as well. You allowed Muzzin to go a bit on the offensive and Brody just sit back, relax, and do what he always does, block shots, break up 2-on-1s, and of course, play a good sound defensive game. So I want to turn it over to you, Evan. You haven't gotten much screen time yet, but I feel like you can give me the best response to this answer. What did you make of the defensive pairings that we saw Saturday night against the Red Wings? And is it here to stay? Is Hall going to still be a healthy scratch when the Leafs face off against the Golden Knights tomorrow night?
I don't know really, because the Leafs, they looked good, but they still, the whole team is still developing as the season continues to go on. Like in that Red Wings game, they didn't have Tyler Bertuzzi, who has been leading them offensively, and they were still able to put 4 goals behind the Leafs defense and ultimately Peter Mrazek. I do think that Justin Hall does need more time just to almost like reevaluate himself, because I think was it the last game he played would have been Pittsburgh, or did he play in Chicago?
He played in Chicago as well.
Okay, regardless, but that game in Pittsburgh was brutal. When Muzzin and Hall were on a defensive pairing line, they almost looked like they've never played with each other, and it just didn't look like it was a natural fit almost. And now you put Rielly back with Dermott, which I really like, because I really like Travis Dermott, and I think he pairs well with an offensive defenseman like Morgan Rielly. And I think the same goes for Brody and Muzzin, because Muzzin, we did see times in LA where he was an offensive defenseman and he was able to put up 45 points in an 82-game season. And now that he has TJ Brody, who's a very more relaxed defensive defenseman, he allows Muzzin to get that extra pinch, because Muzzin now knows that if something happens, like, I have TJ Brody to back me up. So I really like this. I think they need to do something with Justin Hall. And if that means trading him, like, I think that's what they might need to do, because I don't think you could put Muzzin and Hall together. They don't look like they mesh right now. And it was evident in that 7-1 loss.
Yeah, and I know Leaf fans don't want to go back to that 7-1 loss, but again, it's a learning point in the season. And this is what the things that you have to take away from it, that this pairing just hasn't worked out. Maybe last year it was the best pairing they had, their shutdown pairing, as we labeled it. Maybe this year it's not the case. Things change in a month span, especially the way this team's playing, especially what this team has gone through both in the postseason and what spilled over into the regular season. So maybe these 2 players aren't it. And I'm not saying trade Hall just yet, because I know he doesn't look too great. I still think he's a valuable piece to this team in some way, shape, or form. I think his resume is more than fulfilling in showing you that he is resilient and he can still come out and put up decent games. I just think he has to learn a little bit. And I think he's got to learn the hard way. And that is possibly meaning him staying in the press box a little bit longer. And before I turn into any other topics here, I just want to get your thoughts as well, Dama. What did you make of Hall getting the bench, or I guess right into the press box? And is this something we're going to continue to see? And I kind of want to make the question a little bit more two-folded. Is Liljegren going to be stepping up as much as we've been seeing, especially in the Detroit Red Wings game?
I'm going to answer your question, but I was also just looking at HockeyDB for Jake Muzzin. And did you guys realize this is Jake Muzzin's first full season as a Leaf? He's been with us for it feels like forever now, but this is only his first season. Because 18-19, he gets traded here from LA, plays 30 games. Then 19-20, COVID. And then last season, 56 games, and then this year. Thought that was interesting. But to answer your question on Justin Hall, I've never been a Justin Hall fan. I'm going to be honest. Like, this is something I don't want to be right about, but me and my uncle always used to talk about it. He really liked Justin Hall. I really liked Travis Dermott. I always just thought Justin Hall, if Justin Hall wasn't right-handed, I think he's a league minimum player because he doesn't really do anything special. Like, he has a booming shot that we saw him take a whole 2 times last season. He just doesn't do anything. He doesn't move guys out front. His gap controls, whatever. He's mediocre at moving the puck, honestly. And I think Liljegren can do the exact same thing at a cheaper price. And he's younger. And why? If you remember back when Justin Hall was scratched with Mike Babcock, and he played like 6 games that season or whatever it was, I think Liljegren is better right now than that Justin Hall. So to give Liljegren these minutes, I think Hall's got to get traded.
And I was about to ask you, what would you suggest doing with Hall? I guess you just gave that right away. I don't know. I mean, Liljegren's looked awesome. He's looked very promising. It's about time. We've had Liljegren in our possession for quite a while. He hasn't developed the way we'd like to. It's taken him a little bit longer to get to the spot he's in, but he's finally here. And we're finally seeing some positive signs. So I'm hoping they could build off Liljegren. But again, I don't want to see Hall. I still have confidence in him. I don't know. Last season was an impressive season. I wish he used a shot more, and you nailed it. We saw it at least 2 times. I think at maximum 2 times, and he scored on both of them. He's got a booming slapper, just he never shows it to the goalie. So what's the point of having him offensively? He's not going to do anything with his offensive skill set. And even the defensive set, like if you got to be great defensemen, obviously, as we know, can balance both. They could be very offensive, very defensive, and still find a way to meet in the middle and satisfy both parties. Justin Hall is not that. He's maybe good for a couple games on the offensive side, but forgets how to play defense, or he's probably too much defensive structured and can't even produce or chip in anything on the offensive side. So I don't know. I still have faith in the guy. I think he's going to have to sit out a little longer, like I said before. And I don't want to run in circles here on this Justin Hall discussion because I'm sure we have so much better things to go to, and it's not worth my time. But especially a bigger defenseman and a bigger name that we can or about to get to in Morgan Rielly signing his contract. But Justin Hall, yeah, give him a little bit more time. I don't know. He might be buying his time a little too short, and the leash might get a little bit shorter if he keeps playing like this. Because then by Christmas, if he's still playing like this, might have to see some changes being made with that defensive core, and Justin Hall might be the guy to go to some other team. But we'll have to wait and see on that part. And I think what Detroit Red Wings fans are waiting to see is pretty promising, because what we saw on Saturday night was something that I never noticed from the Detroit Red Wings before, because I haven't seen it in such a long time. Youth stepping up and stepping up big. This team, guys, is legit. Not this year, but they will be a legit team in the upcoming years. They got so many young pieces that GMs in the National Hockey League, other than Stevie Y, crave about. Like, the fact that these guys are on their team now and are producing at the rate that they are, it just goes to show you how strong this Detroit Red Wings team is going to be. And just to name a few here, Valeno Raymond. It's a funny story about Valeno. He actually, because he was a call-up for Tyler Bertuzzi, since he can't make the trip to Canada, he was a call-up from their AHL affiliate, and he had to ride, I believe, a 4 or 5 hour car ride from Detroit with Stevie Y in the car. So I'm really interested to see how the radio choice was there. I don't know if they've ever spilled out in a conversation or a post-game interview, but I found that pretty interesting on Valeno's part, and he played pretty solid. I think did he get a goal in that game?
He had a goal and an assist.
Yeah, he's really
goal and
good.
assist, 2 points. I don't know. I was like Jared. I was partying all night, so I didn't see too much of the game, but I heard he was doing good things, and there it is, 2 points. And this team is going to be doing good things in the future. Sider, who I know, Jared, you were raving about early on in the year, he's going to be a terrific talent. You got also Zadina and Bertuzzi, who's probably their best player, but he obviously can't make the trip to Canada due to the vaccination reasons. But I don't know. I want to get your guys' thoughts on this Detroit Red Wings team. We haven't talked about Detroit too much because they've been in the gutter for quite a long time in this league. It's been 3 or 4 years where they just have been irrelevant, no fans in the stands. It's slowly starting to come back, and this team is starting to get some momentum, starting to build an identity for themselves. And I'm not saying that they're going to be the 2016-17 Leafs where they're just edging out a playoff spot, but maybe next year, maybe the year after. I think they're in the same boat as the Ottawa Senators in young skill talent, maybe even above. Evan, what do you think of the Red Wings team and just how youthful these guys are and how productive they are? Because Lucas Raymond, he's a terrific goal scorer, man. His shot is lethal.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can see this Red Wings squad really making noise within the next 3 to 5 years. I think right now you're noticing the development stages. I think in 3 to 5 years, they can really be a playoff contender that will make some noise. I think Lucas Raymond and Sider are two wonderful pieces, obviously picked up by the great Stevie Y. I mean, if that guy makes a draft pick, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be a stud come 5-7 years from now. And everyone was shocked when Sider was taken so high. I believe he was the 6th or 7th overall pick, and he was just ranked
I'm actually looking at
so much lower. And it's Stevie Y. He knows what he's doing. And that Red Wings organization has really struck well on those European and German guys. They've just struck well on those types of players. And you look at Lucas Raymond from Sweden as well. I mean, he's just been really eye-opening, and I think they can really do damage. This is definitely the calm before the storm.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so much promise. I think it's going to be a broken record from me praising this Detroit Red Wings team. I've said it again frequently on the show. I have a big soft spot for the Detroit Red Wings. I've seen a lot of games growing up, including the Centennial Classic, which was a treat to watch. Matthews potting that I believe it was overtime winner, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and on New Year's, that is correct. Yeah, it was a fun experience. Never going to forget it. But again, soft spot for the Detroit Red Wings. I love to see them do well. Such a rich history in that regard. But these players are coming out to play, and they have some growing pains. You mentioned maybe in the next 3 to 5 years, there is still some room for improvement, especially from the young guys, including Raymond. I think it was Raymond who I saw. He was on a power play, and it was on the Engvall breakaway. I don't know if you guys remember this. It was a shorthanded breakaway for Pierre Engvall in that Saturday night game, and it was just turned over, a backhand pass to the blue line. Engvall picks it off, goes the other way, and hits the post. But just other learning things. I'm sure they're going to hit home to these young guys, saying you can't do that in this league. You're going to get caught. You're going to get all these kind of things, and I'm sure discipline's going to play a role in it too, because DDY is never the guy to not throw the hammer down. He knows how to manage his players well. And I think these young guys are going to be at the forefront of that, ready to waste it just yet. Jared, I just want to touch upon you as well. What did you make of the young talent you saw? Well, I guess didn't see as much Saturday because me and you both were busy getting a good time in. But overall, what do you make of the young talent we've seen this season from the Detroit Red Wings youthful core? I know you were high on Sider heading into the year. Like I mentioned, you got a guy like Lucas Raymond as well, Valeno, who's starting to step up as well. What do you make of him?
I mean, I like the future for Detroit. I really don't think it'll end up I don't think they're going to be the team that makes the playoffs. I know currently they are, I believe, 3rd in the Atlantic, so right now they are in a playoff spot. I think that will change. I think the growing pains are definitely going to start showing. I mean, they're a very young team. They're a core led by rookies essentially, and I do think there's going to be games where it doesn't exactly work out because, as you said, there's a big rookie core on that team. They're kind of trying to develop an identity in a sense. So I don't know if it'll necessarily work out this year, but moving forward, I think, like Evan said, in the next 3 to 5 years, I definitely think that Detroit has what it takes to become one of the next cup contenders. And I think eventually they should be able to win a Stanley Cup with this team. They have a great core. And that's what a few poor years will do for you, because I mean, they've gathered a bunch of high draft picks, not a 1st overall pick, but I mean, at 4th overall, they selected Raymond, 6th overall, Moritz Seider, 30th overall, the pick right after Rasmus Sandin was taken, they took Joe Valeno. So, a couple 1st-round picks in a few years, and now they're all of a sudden starting to turn a corner. They obviously used to be a great team. I know they had that crazy streak where they made the playoffs. I believe it was, 20-something years in a row?
25.
25, yeah, like a ridiculous
25.
Streak. Obviously, there's the Datsuk days and stuff like that. But that's in the past. It seems as though they're kind of turning the page, turning the chapter towards the next core, led by all these young players. And as much as I really don't think it'll end up working out fully this year, but I think they're definitely going to take some positive steps forward, maybe be competitive, maybe be right around a wild card spot by the time the season wraps up. But as much as I don't see it necessarily working out this year, I do think moving forward, even into next year, the year after, I think they're definitely going to start making some noise, maybe starting to make the playoffs in that Atlantic, and it's only going to make the Atlantic Division more difficult, coming from a Leafs fan, but as well, it's only going to make it more fun and exciting to watch. So I'm really excited about the future for Detroit.
Yeah, and throw in the Ottawa Senators in there in that conversation as well. They got a nice youthful core. Tim Stutzel, Josh Norris, who I absolutely love watching, Drake Batherson. The list goes on and on with these two teams. I can't wait to see them succeed. And I'm not saying it's this year. I think Detroit fans would also come and say and agree with you that it's not this year. They're just happy to see that this team is finally turning a corner, like you mentioned, Jared. And I think it's a first for all of us here on the show because we've never seen a youthful Detroit team ever somewhat succeed. It's always been the veteran Zetterberg, the name I love most growing up. Datsuk, like you mentioned, the Magic Man himself. So many. Go on.
Oh, Nick Lidstrom.
Yeah, Nick Lidstrom. Like there's so many guys that have veteran wise with age on them that have produced so much, contributing to that 25-year run. Incredible, never probably to ever be done again. Run by the Detroit Red Wings. So there's so much promise with this team, and I don't want to keep going on a tangent because everyone knows that it's pretty evident to see that these guys know what they're doing, especially Stevie Y. He's known what he's doing since day one. The Yzer plan is somewhat coming to full circle, just like the Shannon plan did years ago. So I'm hoping to see the Detroit Red Wings in a spot in the upcoming years. Like Evan said, a 3 to 5 year time frame. It's probably going to be the likely one we're going to see from this group. But again, the signs are pretty positive for the Detroit Red Wings side. And I want to touch upon the final topic for the Maple Leafs here before we head into some National Hockey League news. Would have to be the Leafs heading in against the Vegas Golden Knights. Evan's Vegas Golden Knights. And Evan, if you want to represent it for the broadcast here, you will be representing the Leafs line team at the Maple Leafs game tomorrow night. What do you make of that? The big call up heading down there? You excited?
Yeah, doing the radio notes basically throughout the game, handing them goal sheets, just any like notes anything that catches my eye just throughout the game. And so I'll be with the big boys. I got the call up.
I can't wait to hear the story. I mean, it's going to be spectacular. Obviously, you're going to have a great time. You're going to learn a bunch of stuff and meet a lot of guys. You're going to have a great time. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I've never done it before. It's probably going to be a dream come true once I get there, or if I get there. But yeah, congratulations, man. Enjoyed. And just on the topic of discussion, at least we'll look to string together a third win, a win streak now of their own, including a pair of extra time. Or sorry, I'm getting a little off topic here, but the Vegas Golden Knights, they're heading in, facing them at Scotiabank Arena. Puck drop is at 7 p.m. against the banged up Vegas Golden Knights squad. At that, we learned today that the William Karlsson, he's out, I believe, 6 weeks with an injury. And the Vegas Golden Knights, they have a 3-game win streak of their own, including a pair of extra time victories. So it's going to be a close one. I bet you guys on that. And I mean, what's the game plan heading in? I mean, the Maple Leafs have they had a solid game against Detroit. The Chicago Blackhawk game, I don't think it was a solid one, but it was definitely a win. A win's a win is a win, and it was an overtime gritty victory. So where do you go from here for the Toronto Maple Leafs? What are you building on heading in to I'm assuming it's going to be a close game, especially with Leonard in the crease, and as well as I think Campbell might be getting the nod. I don't think Mraz is getting that second game, but with these two goalies going at it, it's going to be a tight affair. What do you see heading in? I'll start with you, Adama. What is the game plan for the Toronto Maple Leafs to take down the Vegas Golden Knights, a team that they struggle against, mind you, in their history?
They should beat them. They should actually kill them too. That's not disrespecting the Vegas Golden Knights, because obviously they're a fantastic team. But one, they've looked like shit this year, which I think we can all agree on. But that is because they are ridiculously injured. No Mark Stone, no William Karlsson. Wasn't Pacioretty? Is he out too?
Pacioretty's still out.
Pacioretty's out too. This team has, like, their depth is okay, but when Chandler Stevenson's your first line center, and there's no Mark Stone there or Pacioretty, it's just March or so. They should kill them, but knowing the Toronto Maple Leafs, they're going to probably somehow Toronto Maple Leafs this and make it a super close game. Alex Pietrangelo has looked like crap this year. I know the analytics have said he's been the worst player out of all the players this year. He's looked terrible. Shea Theodore's in these the Buffalo rumors. I don't know if you heard about that, but as a game plan for the Leafs, build on what you do, because we're on a 2-game winning streak. The goals finally came. We got 5 last game. Keep at it. We need to play our style, that fast drop third forward, but like lots of cycling in the offensive zone. I want that first line to do well too. I want Nylander, Matthews bunting line. They've been quiet the last couple of games. I don't know. I'm not obviously we're not hitting the panic button on Matthews, but 2 points in 6 games is not ideal. So I really want them to have a coming out party.
And I'm sure Matthews is obviously going to get him. Like he'll be finishing the year same as always. It's just probably the rough patch. He didn't have a preseason, so that'll play a huge factor into why his production's a little lower. But again, I'm on the same page with you. I really want to see a big game coming out of these guys. Matthews does shine on home ice against the Vegas Golden Knights. He scored a gorgeous goal against this side last time they met. Yep. Yeah. Last time they played the Golden Knights on home ice. It was a fun time for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't know if they won that game though. They might have scored. I think it was an OT victory. Yeah. OT? Yeah, something like that. But I don't know. I'm expecting, like you mentioned, a goal party for Matthews to join. And that big line's got to step up. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to do so against the Vegas Golden Knights. Did you come up with it? Was I correct? My Leafs knowledge is a little iffy today.
An OT win does ring a bell. I feel like
it does ring a bell.
They definitely did. Here, let's go 1920. Vegas OT win 2-1.
For the Leafs?
Toronto Maple Leafs, yep. They beat them 2-1. Here, let's look for that game too. I got an ad blocker on. Hold on.
I want to say Tavares scored the winner.
Yeah, holy cow.
There we go.
Look at that.
I remember.
Match Pacioretty, and then power play goal, Austin Matthews, and then overtime, John Tavares.
Wow, I'm spot on. I mean, I think the trivia might spill into that as well. So again, a lot of things to look out for this Maple Leafs team. They're on the up and up. I don't want to spend too much time teeing up the Vegas Golden Knights game because I think we're going to expect to see a close affair. Possibly these big guys coming out. Hopefully maybe a 5-4 finish. That'd be a nice one. And maybe even like they did against the Vegas Golden Knights last time they hit the home ice against this team, an OT victory as well. Because this Vegas Golden Knights team, one thing they know how to do is keep it close and to squeeze out a victory. You can't let them do that on your home soil. You got to take advantage early, strike often, and that's how you're going to beat this very banged up Vegas Golden Knights squad. And I want to get into the biggest news of them all. One of our favorite players, Jared, I guess I found this out this week. You named your dog after this player. We're talking Morgan Rielly. Now the audience knows Jared's dog's name. So thank you, Mario, for making sure that is said. But again, what we have to focus on is the dollars and cents. And boy, did Dubas come out of the gates I guess it was signed at the Maple Leafs practice. I think it's, what is it? MasterCard Center. I don't know if they changed that name yet, but
Performance Center.
Or Performance Center. Yeah. My Leafs knowledge is wishy-washy, I guess you could say today, but he walked out of there feeling good about himself and making a huge steal. I think that's the general message coming from Leafs Nation. He blasted some much needed outside noise from the struggling Maple Leafs team, shifting the focus to what he had to get done in the upcoming offseason. Now, this blew me away. I was actually on a work site at my job putting up tents, and I could hop in the car and I hear on the radio that Morgan Rielly has been signed. And that was quite exciting. I did not expect whatsoever to see any of that. And when I heard the AAV, I almost jumped out of my seat. It was, I didn't think 7.5 was even a reasonable thing to bring to the table when you're discussing these guys, because I don't know how much you want to rip on Rielly. I don't think there's much room to rip on Rielly, but again, he hasn't had that many great seasons with the Toronto Maple Leafs, like Norris caliber seasons I'm talking. He had that one when he was playing alongside Ron Haynes that allowed him to show off his offensive prowess. I believe he was top 5 in voting that year. And I don't think we're going to see that again. Top 2. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he was behind Giordano. I remember that.
Oh, I can't believe Giordano won in Norris. Jesus Christ.
That's ridiculous.
When you look back at it, what a year it was. And I mean, Rielly, one of his best, if not the best, defensive performance as well as offensive performance coming out of his camp in that year. I don't expect to see other Norris candidate seasons with Rielly, but I expect to see a lot of consistent seasons. And I think that's what Kyle Dubas is banking on. And to get him consistent seasons like that for that AAV, Adamo, is it a steal? I know you can confirm this.
I think it's a steal. Actually, fun little story about Jared and his dog. We got a dog. We called her Roxy. I wanted to name her Rielly because of Morgan Rielly. Growing up, Morgan Rielly, you can even see the jersey back there. This is my first Leaf jersey ever. Got it in like 2013, like fresh Rielly rookie. I don't know why. I loved when we picked Rielly. Like, remember, I was like 10 years old at the time. I just loved that, like that defenseman. He was super fast. He was fun, young kid. I remember, did Rielly get a point on this goal? It was a lot of fun cheering for Rielly, and I'm so happy that he's here for 8 more years. And to answer your question, yes, 7.5 was a steal.
Oh, most definitely. At least in my mind, Jared, do you side with it? And if you have any dog stories, please, I would love to hear them.
Yes, we need Rielly stories.
First of all, I can give you a dog story on actually the first day where we got Rielly was the game of the Columbus Blue Jackets, like the Leafs coming back when they were down 3-0 and ended up winning the game. That was the night we got Rielly, and I was scared we made her deaf on night one.
Yeah, wow.
She was
Probably
sleeping in her
so
little
scared.
dog bed and we were screaming. But whatever, that's besides what. We could get into Rielly stories after. I'm gonna say I love the signing. Morgan Rielly was actually my pick to be who I wanted to be captain. Obviously, no problems with John Tavares. I love him, but I love Morgan Rielly. I think he's such an important part of this team. And even when he's obviously we need him to produce, we need him to contribute, and we need him to play well defensively. But even when he's not, you could always lean on the fact that he is such an important part of this team because he's a leader. He's a person that's been there. He's I think the longest running Leaf, and he's been there through everything. He's been there through the rebuild. People look up to him, and I think he's just such a big part of this team. And the fact that we have him locked down for 8 more years at way below market value for what defensemen are getting now, I think it's just an unbelievable signing. And yes, you could still talk about the fact that 5 players on our team are making such a big percentage of our thing, but really it's not an issue with the top 5. I'd say it's an issue with the top 3 because Morgan Rielly and William Nylander, I'd say, are on unbelievable contracts right now.
And I mean, you just took the words out of my mouth. I was about to ask you about that core 5 taking up I got the numbers right in front of me, 58.9, I believe it is, percentage of the, so 59% basically of the total cap hit for the 2022 season. Is that something that concerns you at all? I mean, I know you were talking about seeing Morgan Rielly be captain, and this was obviously I did a lot more research and found out that this is unable to happen. But I was thinking right when I saw the signing, does this mean that a guy from the top 4, the core 4, is going to get moved? And my thought was maybe Tavares, the original captain, the captain right now, does get moved in the summer, and we see Rielly get promoted to the captain. Now, this was just like an obviously fresh off the books, off the top of the dome, saying, well, this could potentially happen. Then you go look into Tavares' contract a little more, and now he's got a bunch of no movement clauses. So obviously you're not going to see it coming to fruition. But again, just going back to my other topic here, do you see this 59% cap hit for the next season being something that concerns you? Does it should it concern Leafs Nation? Because, and if we're going to touch upon it like right after Rielly, Adam Fox, he signed a big deal as well. And you look at those guys that are making the money, those top 5, and you compare it to this top 5, it's leaps and bounds, not even close to what we're dealing with. So is this something that concerns you, Jared? And I'll also turn it over to you, Evan, right after. What do you make of the core 5?
I mean, it's not necessarily something, I don't want to say it concerns me because I think the team we have right now, even with that cap situation, I mean, we've assembled a team that in my mind, I think we still are capable and have the pieces there that we should be a competitive team. And when we're not playing well, when we're not playing competitive, it's disappointing because we have the pieces there that we should be a great team. So it's not necessarily that I'm concerned, but it definitely is a lot of our cap space is tied into 5 players. So it's something that it's worth noting. I mean, it's a lot. I believe we have the most money tied into our top 5. If not, I know the New York Rangers are up there as well. But it's something that you need to note. And it's something that, depending on how this season goes, I think you do need to maybe start bringing up the conversation of, well, obviously Austin Matthews isn't going anywhere, but you have to maybe look at, I hate to say, but maybe you look at a Mitch Marner trade or something along those lines, because it is a lot of money tied into your top 5. However, I'm not panicking yet because I think what we got from Morgan Rielly is a great deal. It's a great signing. And as much as, sure, there's a concern about our top 3, because that is a ton of money tied into 3 players, but I'm not concerned with Morgan Rielly. I think the signing of Morgan Rielly didn't give me any additional panic that I already had when looking at the way our cap situation is looking as of now. So I think I'm kind of conflicted because I don't want to say it's not concerning, but I also don't want to say it's concerning either. I think Morgan Rielly, from the day he signed this new extension, it didn't give me any additional panic that I already had. It's concerning that our top 3 is making up this much of our cap situation. But I mean, Morgan Rielly at $7.5 million, you are not getting any better than that. That is, even when you compare it to what other defensemen are getting right now, that is such a good signing. So I'm not more panicked and I'm not stressing and I'm not mad at Kyle Dubas after what he just got Morgan Rielly for. I think what the top 3 make is a different story, and we could talk about whether one of them has to go, but purely looking at the Morgan Rielly signing, it doesn't panic me at all, or it doesn't concern me.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's something that the house is sort of divided in Leafs Nation. Everyone's sort of It's either you're really cheering for the Leafs, the signing that just happened, we're trying to enjoy it, and then you have to look at the other side of the coin and say, well, these guys are making this much money. How is that so? And what are we going to do about it? I think I just recently found this out today that the New York Rangers are in that same problem. And it just gives me so much more relief seeing that their situation has so many more worse contracts than the Maple Leafs do. And I don't know. I think it's something that they're going to have to deal with. I think the Leafs have always been dealing with this. And you hit it off on the nail there. It's not the core five that's making all that money. It's more so concerning that the three guys are making that much money. And I think that is going to spill into the off season. I know it's a long season. We just started a couple weeks ago, but seeing Mitch Marner's name now legitimately thrown into the table, I know a lot of people were joking about it. Now it could potentially come to fruition if this, I wouldn't say streak, but if something like this continues to happen with this player. And I just will have to wait and see. Evan, I want to turn it over to you quickly before we get into the Fox signing as well. What do you make of the signing of the Rielly one? I'm sure you'll side with all of us here, it being a steal, because he could have gotten so much more money in so many other destinations. And I would just love to be a fly in the room just negotiating that contract, because I don't know what Dubas said, but it as you can see, it worked, because man, 7.5, you're not going to get more cheaper than that, especially for a defenseman of his caliber.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it was a lot of work that Kyle Dubas needed to do, because according to what my dad was saying, Morgan Rielly wanted to stay in Toronto. So it's not like Kyle Dubas really had to convince Morgan Rielly. The one thing that's really huge about this contract, though, is that 8th year, because if it was just a 7-year deal, now the AAV turns to 8.5 million. So that 8th year is actually really huge for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And also, this is also what my dad was saying, is that Morgan Rielly wasn't really concerned about his AAV. He was rather like, if I can just get like a substantial, like just get good amount of money, like then I'm content with that. Like he didn't need, like, it seems like from what I was hearing is that like he didn't need like an egregious $80 million payout. Like if he can just make comfortable money, then that's all he really wanted. It is concerning that 5 players, and I know it's the same thing with New York, but I don't think you can really compare the two, just because it's like, this is my analogy though. It's like if your house is broken, but it's like, oh, but that house is even in worse shape. It's like your house is still broken. So it's not like you're in a better situation. And I understand that, yes, you got Morgan Rielly at a great value. Your one issue is, though, is that you have 3 guys on your roster making $10+ million. And unfortunately, I know that they were expecting, even with COVID, like without COVID, then the cap would go up. You would still be paying 5 guys a substantial amount of money. And it's unfortunate that that's the situation that they're in, where now in free agency, they have to rely on $2 million players and just short contracts that they hope work out. I don't know if you want to jump shift to the Adam Fox signing. Can we? Or
Oh, I mean, if you guys have anything else to say about Rielly, because I mean, you just provide the best segue imaginable for a host to jump right into the New York Rangers, the stack core 5. You want to make a comment? Go for it.
Yeah, like in terms of that Adam Fox signing, I think it was a great signing, and I think it was important to lock him up now before maybe his AAV goes up. I mean, the pace he's at right now, I wouldn't be surprised if he would have gotten down the road with using a unrestricted free agency, if he would have gotten like an Erik Karlsson type contract where he gets 8 years, 11 million. I think he's that great of a defenseman. I would put him, in terms of offensive caliber defenseman, I would put him in that tier 1 group with Victor Hedman and Cale Makar. We saw last year him tear up the league. Granted, it was a 56-game season, and he's seeing the same opponent 8 times a year. But now we're seeing the sample size where he's tearing it up still, and he's not playing the same teams. And now when you look at the New York Rangers and what they had to give up to get him, it was a 3rd-round pick that they sent to Calgary in exchange for Adam Fox. So I think that was a great signing. To get him at 7 years, you've now locked him up until he's about, I think, would say maybe 28, 29 years old. And then after that, you can do another 4-year bridge deal where you give him 4 years at maybe 7 million or $6.5 million. So I think they set themselves up better. The Trouba contract, and now you're talking about the 5 players, is not a good situation, considering you gave up Neil Pionk in that deal, and now Neil Pionk is turning into the offensive defenseman they were hoping Jacob Trouba would be. So that's just my opinion. Obviously, the 6 players that lock up their 56% or 54% of the cap aren't as good as the Maple Leafs. But then again, those teams are both in a really bad situation.
And I just find it funny how those 2 teams are the richest teams in the NHL. Like, I don't know if there's a correlation there. Maybe I'm just off my rocker a little bit, but it's just strange to know how the New York Rangers and the Toronto Maple Leafs both, I think it came out to open up the season statistically, how they're the richest organizations, like net worth, all that kind of stuff in the National Hockey League. They are both suffering from this problem and still not getting any results from it. We'll see if it changes. But again, you want to touch upon Adam Fox, getting him for a 3rd round pick and then getting Trouba for Pionk. I mean, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some as a GM. That's a very big win for the Rangers, but also a very big loss, because that Trouba contract, and I think is the big outliner that's biting them in the butt when you're looking at dollars and cents. And I actually didn't know. I guess this Fox deal just had to open up my eyes towards the New York Rangers cap struggles. I didn't know that they were in the mud with those 5 players, 6 players making all that money. I didn't think it was that relatable to Toronto Maple Leafs, but here we are. Again, just to remind you guys, Fox is making 9.5 per year. That's a 7-year deal for Adam Fox. He had 47 points in 55 games last season, where he won the Norris Trophy. And of course, he's registered 9 points in as many games this season. So the offense is still there, and what's looking like making this money is going to continue to stay there for the Blue Shirts and Adam Fox's party. So I guess, Evan, I started with you. Your thoughts on the deal. You made it pretty known. I was surprised when I saw this deal. I don't know about you guys, but I was quite surprised. I didn't think it had to happen now, but I guess the New York Rangers wanted to get it right out of the way, just like the Maple Leafs did. Maybe the Maple Leafs and Kyle Dubas motivated the Rangers to do it. You got to add something?
Yeah, this is just like a quick note that I saw on Twitter, is that Adam Fox got the largest contract out of like straight out of the entry level deal. This is the largest contract any player, forward, defenseman, goalie has gotten out of their entry level deal.
That's pretty surprising.
It's because 8 years, right?
Yeah, because the AAV, I believe,
no, Matthews literally got it like 11.
But that wasn't out of his entry.
Yeah, it was.
Yes, it was.
It was.
I think total amount of money.
Okay, then maybe it was total amount.
Yeah,
is for Fox, like largest contract.
Yeah, because Matthews got 11.5 times 5 though, or was it times 5 or 6?
5.
So yeah, so that would make sense. Maybe just 9.5 times 7 ends up being the most amount of money. That would make sense.
It's the largest contract.
I mean, he deserved it too. He's potting goals left, right, and center. He's a point stacker. So, and he's probably one of the best players you can bring to your fantasy team as well. So there's everything but upside for Adam Fox. So he was worth every penny, in my opinion. I don't think it was an overpay whatsoever. I think you had to lock him down. Like Evan, you mentioned, he has the potential to raise that roof, raise that ceiling, and you could have got him as this would look like a steal maybe 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, where the Rangers are maybe a competitive team and they might be winning the cup. And the player like Adam Fox is leading them to that route. So I think we'll have to wait and see how this pans out. Adamo, do you have any other thoughts on the Fox signing? I know we're moving a little bit quick here, but I mean, 9.5 for 8 years. Like, what do you make of the deal? And was it necessary to get signed now compared to any other point in the season and even the offseason?
Well, he just won a Norris. So, I mean, to say he doesn't deserve it would be ridiculous, considering what guys like, no, we keep shitting on Seth Jones, but a guy like Seth Jones got for winning a Norris, 6 years ago now? I don't really have a strong opinion on it. I think it's a great contract. He puts up a lot of points. I think he led all defensemen in points last year, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Really solid defensively in his own end. To touch on that 3rd round pick for Calgary thing, I almost feel bad for Calgary and Carolina, because he straight up told them, "I'm not signing with you." So, you're kind of screwed there. So yeah, I think it's a good amount of money, because you want to sign a guy when not when he's at his highest. I mean, if you signed him right after that Norris Trophy victory, I think he would have been even more. But to get him now at 9.5 over 8 years too is really good.
I mean, I think it's just pretty fresh in all our minds. So we don't really have a lot of time. We didn't have a lot of turnover time, I guess you could say, to stew over this, think about it, maybe sought out all the reasonable thoughts on this Adam Fox signing. But I mean, if you're just looking at the past resume, he's terrific in his own end, like you mentioned. Obviously, the offense is there. He's a Norris winner, the reigning Norris winner, and finished atop of the league in points for a defenseman. So you know what you're getting from Adam Fox. So again, worth every single penny. As of right now, I can't really think of anything to go against that. Jared, do you have anything to add on to that? Like, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just
so I just wanted to, yeah, I just wanted to add. So it's not that I think it's a bad signing whatsoever. It's a great signing. The fact they locked this player down for 7 years. He's won the Norris. Obviously, he's worth his $9.5 million. My only comment I want to make, and it's similar to what I was saying when we were talking about the Kirill Kaprizov signing, is just the fact that last year was such a weird season that I find there's always going to be a little bit of risk associated with giving people huge pay raises based on a great performance in that weird season. So likely it will end up working out. I mean, the guy just won the Norris. He's lighting it up this year as well. He's on my fantasy team, or one of my fantasy teams, and he's absolutely tearing it up. So I love Adam Fox as a player. I think as of now, I'd say he is worth the money he got. I just think they're always in the back of my head is a little bit of a risk of what if it was just, and obviously we're seeing how he started this season. Yes, it's early in the season, but he is still like carrying it on, and he still is succeeding and doing well. But I think in the back of my head, there is always going to be that he got this big payday after a great season in a weird season. So I think there's always going to be a little bit of risk. However, as of today, I'm going to say he does deserve it. $9.5 million is great for a player like him. Literally just won the trophy that calls him the best defenseman in the league. He's a great player. I think he earns every penny, but I'm still going to see, and I'm curious to see how it's going to age moving forward.
And I think that's fair. I mean, I think you're going to look at every signing that was made this past offseason, a large signing at that. I think Seth Jones, I don't even know, because Seth Jones, he didn't have a terrific year last year. So I think the Chicago Blackhawks were just banking on years prior, lots of years prior, to see if it pays out. So far, it hasn't done any dividends for them, but I think Kirill Kaprizov, I'm actually interested. I don't know if any of you want to pull up the stats, or if you have it in front of you. I don't know how he's doing down in Minnesota right now after signing that deal. It's not too pleasant right now.
I don't think he scored a goal, but I believe he has the lowest goals above expected, right?
He has 6 assists in 8 games. He's a -3.
You
also got to look at how good Minnesota's been, and he's like the catalyst to why Minnesota is so good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think we're going to have to see. It's too early to say. I mean,
there's a stat. I do want to find it. Keep talking, and I will find it, because he's playing really well, but he's getting extremely unlucky. I think on that broadcast
I thought a few nights ago.
Game. Yeah, it was most shots without a goal.
I just want to say, you could say that, and I know that the stat isn't that with Mitch Marner, but I'm just going to say you can't exactly use he's looked great, but he's getting unlucky. He is like, at a point, you're being paid the big bucks, you have to contribute. And I get it. He has looked fine, but you expect more, and same thing, you can expect more from Mitch Marner. So I'm just going to put that out there.
He's definitely got to score.
Yeah, he definitely needs to pick it up. I don't think he's a bad player whatsoever. I even when we were talking about that signing, I mean, I think he deserved it based on how he did last year. It's just a matter of how he continues moving forward. So I think he's a great player. He definitely needs to contribute. He needs to put the puck in the net. Like, that's what he's paid the big bucks for.
The only thing that I'd say to that is Minnesota's looked unreal without him scoring, and the Leafs didn't when Mitch Marner wasn't playing. So that's why I'm not.
I agree with that. Yeah, that's fair.
I can't find the stat. So
okay,
but he was really good.
We'll go with what we got.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I think just to sign it off before we get into the Cole Caufield situation in Montreal, it's just that there's 8 more years with that contract, just like there is with Adam Fox. Like, if he doesn't do it this year, doesn't mean he won't be doing it in the second year, third year, fourth year. Like, there's so much time. That's the beauty about these 8-year deals. I know how much we knock it, including myself. I'm not a big fan of the long deals, but you're still giving yourself a pretty big window for a guy to succeed. Maybe it's not this year. Maybe he's in a sophomore slump. But if he picks it up the next year, that past season just means nothing. I hope I'm not confusing anyone who's listening, because I'm sort of confusing myself. But I think my principle means the same. Like, there's still time with these guys. And I think Adam Fox and even Morgan Rielly, he's a veteran, so we know what we're getting with him. He's proven that. And even Adam Fox, I know he was in a different season, a more condensed season, and you could throw in all the arguments you want. It's just, if it's not this year, it could potentially be the year after that, because it's still going to pay off. 9.5 million for that guy, and he's putting up another Norris season, maybe not this year, but next year. I don't hear any New York Rangers fans complaining, just like no Leaf fans would be complaining. Even Minnesota fans, if this were to happen with Kirill Kaprizov, they wouldn't be complaining either. So a lot of fans who are complaining, though, would be the Montreal Canadiens and Cole Caufield. It's a very, very tough situation. I can't stress this enough because I said it so much off the top. I'm gonna have to pour it into this segment here. I don't like the Canadiens. Obviously, the rivalry with the Maple Leafs. I have my biases, but I'm gonna put my biases aside and look strictly on a hockey standpoint. And even on a hockey standpoint, it's looking really bad for the Canadiens. They sent and demoted Cole Caufield to the AHL amid an ugly opening stretch of games for both the Canadiens and Caufield in general. He had 1 point through 10 games with the club. And he was the favorite for the Calder Trophy heading into the 2021 season, which makes it all the more surprising as to why he can't get anything clicking. And I know injuries have plagued the Montreal Canadiens. He hasn't had a steady amount of line mates this entire year. And plus, it's looking like a toxic locker room environment without their captain. They don't got a general leader. You'd think Gallagher would maybe step it up right now. He's been in that organization forever. No word out of him, no word out of the organization, the head coach, the GM. I know they called that press conference last week. There's still no successful signs coming from it. So it's just growing hotter and hotter. The tensions are growing in Montreal. And I just want to touch upon Caufield one last more. Is this the right move for the Habs? And is it the right move for Cole Caufield's development? Because he's the biggest takeaways we can see from this corresponding move that we saw this morning. I'll start with you, Evan. Do you make anything of this move from the Habs? Is it the right way to go and deal with a young guy like Cole Caufield? Because you have to be delicate with these kind of things. He's a terrific talent. We saw it in glimpses last season, especially in that playoff where he put up, and I have the numbers in front of me, 12 points during the Habs' deep run. So you got to handle this with precision. Are the Habs doing it right now?
Yeah, I think they are doing it right. Like, you give Cole Caufield a 10-game window. That 10-game window ended. He had 1 assist, no goals to show for it. And if you're the Montreal Canadiens, it's like you don't really need Cole Caufield to play in the NHL for you right now. Like, you know you're not going to most likely make the playoffs at this rate. Like, what's the point in keeping him in the NHL right now? Like, I personally think it's better for him to go to Laval, develop his confidence again. And he was only in Laval for like a week or two before he got called up to the NHL. And you got to keep in mind, he's still only 20 years old. So I think we're getting spoiled with the guys like Matthews and Laine and McDavid who just come into the league at 18, 19 years old and they just absolutely tear it up. Like, for a lot of guys, fortunately and unfortunately, it takes time. And I think for Cole Caufield, it's the best thing that could happen. Like, I hope he spends at least a month down in Laval just to get developed properly. It's just, sometimes it's hard to go from college hockey where you're tearing it up, scoring 25 goals a season for the Badgers, and then you're going straight to the NHL. Like, it's hard. And in terms of the whole chemistry issue, I don't think Brendan Gallagher is the right captain and the right leader to be leading the Montreal Canadiens. He, based on his play and just based on the way that his personality seems on the ice and on the bench, he doesn't seem like a guy who should be the first voice that is going to be coming out of that locker room. If anything, I'd be looking more at a guy like Jeff Petrie before I would look at a guy like Brendan Gallagher. I don't think Gallagher, and I'm not like trying to diss him, but I just don't, like, based on his personality, he doesn't seem like the type of guy that is willing to be the first voice when things get tough. And it's unfortunate what's going on, but you can't, like, there's like, I'll regurgitate, no point in keeping Cole Caufield in the NHL right now.
No, and I agree. I think they're just sending him off from the fire. Like, they're just saying, listen, man, we don't want you here. We don't want you to see this go down, because there's nothing good coming out of Montreal. They're like, listen, get out of here as fast as you can, develop. We don't want to spoil any of it. Maybe even, like, this could be another situation. If you want to look at this angle, maybe he gets hurt. Like, what are you going to do in that situation where he's getting hurt? The team's doing garbage and he gets hurt in one of those games. Maybe you could say the same thing going down to Laval, but it's different when you're getting hurt, tearing it up, rather than getting hurt and doing nothing. It's just adding insult to injury. I think that's how the old cliche has gotten proven. So I think that's the right move for the Habs and Cole Caufield. And just speaking of Gallagher, the only reason why I mentioned Gallagher was just because of a veteran thing, loyalty ties. He's a very emotional guy. That's something you really don't want out of your captain. I think a lot of teams have learned that the hard way, seeing an emotional guy represent their squad. It's not something you want to see, especially his game style. You can get so many guys like that. They don't have to be captains on your team. I think Weber was the ideal captain, and I think Jeff Petrie would also be an ideal one as well. I think he has sort of those shades of Weber still left in him, and I think it's just not just a captain thing, but a guy who has to step up in the locker room. I think this is all locker room. I don't know. There's a lot of holes to fill in this Montreal Canadiens team, and I think it starts from the inside going out. So many things to pick at with the Habs. Jared, do you have anything else to add with the Montreal Canadiens, even the Cole Caufield development in the store? Because I found it quite fascinating to see a guy who was a phenom heading into the league. He's finally hitting that brick wall that almost every player in the National Hockey League hits. And I think the Habs are handling it right. Do you agree with this statement at all? And what would you make on it?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think this is the best thing that you can do for Cole Caulfield's development. I mean, this is coming from someone who, yes, I'm the farthest thing from a Montreal Canadiens fan. However, I'm a massive Cole Caufield fan. And going into that draft, I have a ton of faith in that player. I was pretty pissed off, to be honest, when I saw he was picked by Montreal, because as someone who's not much taller than him, I really want to see him succeed in the NHL. And I think this is the best thing for him. Nothing's going right in Montreal. It's a pretty brutal situation. Why give him that to deal with? Why let him lose his confidence with a struggling team? Why not send him down to the Laval, let him dominate? We've seen his shot. We saw even in the playoffs how it could work against great talent. Why don't send him down to Laval, let him dominate in Laval, get his confidence back, and we'll see if he's called back up to the NHL, or we'll see when he feels ready. But I'd say the best thing for him is just let him get his confidence back in the minors, rather than in a struggling NHL lineup where he's just not producing, he's not succeeding, he's going to become harsher and more down on himself. And it's just not a good situation at all for a 20-year-old kid who's trying to find his way in a new league. So I think absolutely the best thing for him is to be sent down. I think I have no problems with that move whatsoever. To talk about Montreal's situation, well, I agree with that. I think it's definitely, like you guys were saying, it's something to do with being in the room. Yes, they lost all the big pieces. I mean, Carey Price isn't playing right now. Obviously, Shea Weber's injured. Their team in general is just in shambles, you would say. But it does start with someone needs to kind of step up. And whether it is Brendan Gallagher or someone else, someone needs to kind of step up and become a voice that, even if they aren't wearing the C, they need to become that figurative C and figurative captain, and someone who stands up and kind of gets the team rallied and going and back on board. Because right now, everyone, if you look at that bench, they just seem dejected. They seem out of it. No one really seems to be clicking on that team right now. And coming off of, they just went to the Stanley Cup Finals and everyone was loving playing hockey. It looks like they're miserable playing hockey right now. They don't look like they're having fun at all. And it's showing in the results on the ice. They need someone to kind of step up as a leader. And whether it is going to be a guy like, I don't know, you can name a million names, Nick Suzuki, who do you want to name? But just someone needs to kind of step up and become a leader that the whole team could rally around. And I think that's going to be the best thing for them. Hoping to become a somewhat competitive team. I doubt they're going to make the playoffs, but they need to at least be somewhat competitive after it's going all the way to the Stanley Cup final.
I mean, we expected them to be bad this year to start the year because so many injuries were plaguing their team. There's so many holes left in that squad when you compare them to that cup run that they made this past season in the playoffs. So we didn't expect great things, but I don't think we expected this bad of things. And I think it's something that's going to continue to brew in this dumpster fire of a team that is the Montreal Canadiens. And I don't want to sound like a biased here ripping on them. It's just the fact that that's what they are. There's no strong suit in the defensive end, the goaltending end, the offensive end. And when you look at a team like that, that's when you know it's on the inside, not on the outside, and the players playing. I think it's something that the players have to sort out. Maybe take a page out of the Calgary Flames book. Like, they lost their captain, Mark Giordano, longtime veteran with the Calgary Flames organization. Again, we were talking about it, which looks extremely surprising now. He put up a Norris winning season, what feels like ages ago, but he was at the center of their defensive core and the center of their team. He was a big anchor there. Now, no pun intended, he's an anchor down with the Seattle Kraken. But I mean, you look at how the success of the Calgary Flames is coming to fruition. they have 4 alternate captains. All of them are stepping up and they're getting voices from across the room. So many new ideas coming to play. And I think that's also contributing to why they're so dominant on the ice. I think the Montreal Canadiens have to do the same thing, implement the same tactics, and maybe you'll get some similar results because they desperately need those similar results now. And just to touch upon Cole Caufield one last time, I'll turn it over to you, Adamo. Does Cole Caufield, when he walks back into the room and gets his promotion, because I'm sure by the end of this year, he's going to get called right back up because he's not staying in Laval, no matter how much you want to argue with me. He ain't staying in Laval the entire year, despite the Montreal Canadiens struggles. Who's going to be greeting him at the door and making that call up? Because is it Bergevin who's still sitting in the GM seat? Because I guess this question goes twofold. How long's Cole Caufield staying in the minors? And how hot is the seat for Bergevin? Because I know I was saying it before, it's not looking too good for him, just like this team he's controlling right now.
I think Bergevin lost the entire season, if that's what you're trying to get at, just because it's his last year. So why would you fire him mid-season? I'd say let him maybe do the draft. I don't know when, like, his contract, I guess maybe at the end of the season. I don't know when. If I'm not mistaken, I think contracts renew on July 1st. So I think he'd handle the draft and then free agency would be on the next GM, or he resigns because he's French speaking and they just seem to love him there for some reason. I kind of want to touch on Cole Caufield a little bit. Then we can move on because I know this is going quite a bit. But I think the biggest thing about sending Cole Caufield down, and Jared touched on it a little bit, was the confidence thing. You know, you have a young guy. It's not a good idea to yo-yo him. So I'd say this is a one-time send down, and then, you know, get your confidence back, play with your mojo. Maybe the Montreal Canadiens go on a run, because I don't think they're 2-8 bad. So maybe if they go on a little 3-game win streak, you call up this kid who's on a high, just put up 10 points in 5 games with Laval, and, you know, he's back to playing like Cole Caufield, just this time against NHL guys. I think sending down a really good player also increases your odds at the ultimate prize at the end of the season for the Montreal Canadiens, and that is Shane Wright.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was the motto?
It's happening.
What was the motto we were printing on the shirts a couple weeks ago? Oh crap,
Jared, this was you.
Jared,
it's like lose the fight for right.
No, it was. It's something like
be shite for right.
No Shane without pain, or something like. Or it's like
no Shane, no pain.
No Shane, no pain. That's it.
Shane, no pain.
No, but that's
no pain, no shame.
There we go.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen too. And we're somehow gonna. Shane Wright is a lifelong Leaf fan, and I know this. I know this 100% because I've watched this kid play before at Scotiabank Arena, or Scotiabank Pond, not Scotiabank Arena. Fuck, I wish it was Scotiabank Arena. He's a lifelong Leaf fan, and he's going to end up on the Habs. And somehow they are going to twist the narrative that he was a lifelong Habs fan. It's going to happen. That's my prediction. I think the Habs are going to finish like maybe 6th or 7th last, up to 1st overall. They get right, and then they have one of the best young teams in the world.
I mean, it's with the way the season's going right now, it's more than likely a possibility. I think Habs fans are embracing that slogan. I think Jared coined as well. It's very clever.
Didn't coin it. I'm not taking credit for that. No, I found it on Twitter.
Oh, all right. No, but it's the sentiments expressed from the Montreal Canadiens fan base. And if I were in their shoes, I would totally agree. I think they're going sink and swim. If it's looking like, well, at least for Adamo's point, I have a little bit of a different opinion on it. I think Bergevin's going to get out if this stays worse. But I mean, if he's going to go sink and swim with this Montreal Canadiens team, he's definitely stinking them to the ground, because
they are a rock.
It's a dumpster fire, to say the least. And the only thing I want to touch upon for Cole Caufield before we sign off on this topic, worst situation that can happen for them. Obviously, I mentioned it before, he gets injured. That's the worst situation for any player in this league. But again, what if he doesn't dominate the HL? We know how good he is. This is definitely a possibility. We've seen guys, some players, and this is the very select few who are such high talents, go down somewhere and not dominate. I don't see this at all happening from Cole, but if you're the Montreal Canadiens, you're trying to lay out every possible option in the book, and you're hoping this one, in a horrible and unlucky season for them, isn't one that hits for them as well. So that's all I want to say upon Cole Caufield. We're not going to hear too much of his name anymore, because once you hit the AHL, you're not getting as much recognition here, especially in Toronto when we're all Leaf fans and don't care at all. And we're grieving at
Marlies. Do you think they play the Marlies anytime soon?
Laval? That'd be a nice game to go
I
to.
would strongly consider it. Oh man, it's getting Googled now. I'm gonna straight to Ticketmaster. What the hell? Can't write any of this.
Go grab a $20 ticket for the Marlies.
Actually,
Seeing
have
Nick
a
Robertson
discount
in the
code.
press.
Oh my god, they literally do. November 17th.
Mark
That's
the
the next-
calendars.
That's the next Marlies game.
What boys are reaching? We got the
Oh,
whole
man.
cast going down there.
You know, actually,
I'd be down. I'd consider it.
Wednesday night, 7:00. I'm free Wednesdays.
Wait. That's Dodge Father's game day.
Dodge Father's Day. Shit. Can't
Might
do
be
that.
occupied.
Yeah.
Cole Caufield has to wait.
$25 tickets.
What do they
Okay.
charge for Dodge Father games?
Oh, crap.
30, 40? We're
Yeah.
going up twice here. We play
It's sort
Scotiabank.
of like Toronto Maple Leafs ticket prices. We're talking
Yeah.
like $300. Well, if you depends what kind of seats you're talking, like in nosebleeds or
Like if you're
like
trying to watch
front of the
half-
glass.
like half of the court, you might get them for like $250.
Right.
But
something like
you know,
that.
you're trying to sit on like court side. You know, it's 10 grand. Nothing crazy.
Trying
But
to
it
bleed
depends
them
what the
dry.
resale is. I mean, if you're trying to get them directly from the source,
Yeah.
it's a different story. But if you're like, there's scalpers. There's people, you know, they buy the Dodge Fathers tickets, they resell them, they find the best prices. You know, that's how it works. I mean, that's when you're in the market of Toronto. You know, on the Ryerson, the Kerr Hall. That's how shit works.
Girl.
Taking a page of the Leafs book. I love it.
Hit up
And
LLC.
I mean, I'm hoping you guys can take a lot more pages from Leafs history books because it is time for the second edition of the Leafs Line podcast trivia. We got some fun questions and we got a little bit of a rule altercation just so you fans know about it. Last week we sort of discussed this as a group decision. It isn't the best idea to do go off of everyone what they say because we have learned that it's very easy to copy your answers off of any other person. So we're gonna make it pretty interesting, pretty competitive, and there might be some mixed words said. I'm looking at you, Evan. You might get a little frustrated if one of these guys beat you to the buzzer. But that's what they're gonna have to do is beat you to the buzzer.
Is it
Whoever
strictly Leafs?
No, sir. We have
Okay.
mixed in some nice ones.
Good.
We got one Leafs question that I'm hoping stumped you because it did stump me when I looked at that first and had to do some research on it. But I assure you, we got some good questions
My
today.
reaction's up. All right.
Wait, hold on. Before we start, do you have to just shout out your answer, or do you click the raise your hand?
Raise
You slam that raise your hand buzzer.
Yeah,
I want
okay.
to test. I want to test it just now. So I just want to know if the first person raises it, does the second person go behind them too? Evan, you raise your hand. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So now we can't. No controversies now either.
No. Okay. So we know for sure who's raising their hand first. I love it. All right.
Is this
Right.
multiple choice or no?
No multiple choice. We've
Perfect.
limited that as well.
Perfect.
So now it's off the dome. You need to know. If you don't know,
I
you're
like
yanked,
this.
man. You're
I
losing
like
points.
this.
All right,
And I
so
want-
let Mario like finish the question and then.
Yeah, that's also fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let Mario finish the question.
Love it.
Jared.
He's got the trigger finger.
Just test if the buzzer works.
And I believe everyone's tied at 3 points, if I'm not mistaken, on the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we're tied at 3 points. A pivotal trivia questions in episode second edition of the Leafs Line podcast. Let's get right into it. This is a pretty league general question. Here we go. So 2017 saw the rebirth of the NHL's International Series, in which a pair of teams were selected to play outside of North America. Which two teams played each other? Yama, you are the first up, according to my computer
Chicago-
screen.
Hold on. Wait, what? Sorry, say the country again.
I can't say the country.
Oh, it's
You need to know the
Sorry.
teams, and if you
Sorry.
want extra points,
No. It
say the
was
country.
the Florida Panthers and the Winnipeg Jets.
sir, you are incorrect. In 2017, it was not the Florida Panthers.
Hey,
and
can you
Winnipeg
repeat the
Jets.
question?
I will repeat the question for you, but Jared's got the next answer queued up. 2017 saw the rebirth of the NHL's International Series, in which a pair of teams were selected to play outside of North America. For just reference, it was called the Global
I
Series.
think I know it now.
Which
I know,
two
it was
teams
my
played
first
each other?
answer.
And for the extra point, which city was it played? And this extra point will go towards your total, Jared. You could get 2 points here. What do you got?
I believe it was the Vancouver Canucks and the LA Kings in China.
Man, I didn't think this stumped you guys this bad. That is
No,
also
I got it.
I'm after Evan.
It
for
was
the
it was
answer.
the Winnipeg Jets and the Florida Panthers in like Sweden or something, right?
I
Or
said that
Finland.
already. No.
No, you said
No,
Chicago.
no, you're
Oh,
all,
it's
you're
Damo's
all-
turn. It's Damo's
you're,
turn.
You're also incorrect. You're also.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, hold on. Now that we've all answered, is it one of the teams we've said? Have one of the teams that have been said?
You haven't hit on one.
Really?
Nobody's hit
Okay,
on
so
one.
one of them is the Chicago Blackhawks, I think.
No,
No?
you already answered Chicago once.
No, I didn't.
No.
I answered what you answered.
No, didn't
Well, you guys
say-
are both incorrect. No one
You
said
said
any of
Chicago
these
and
teams.
Florida, I thought.
No, I said Winnipeg and Florida. Because I
Okay.
remember Laine scored a hat trick in Finland, and I benched him in fantasy. That was
Oh,
That was like the Helsinki, but I don't think it was 2017. That was
No, yeah, that's what I was
Helsinki
gonna
with
say.
Huberdeau versus Laine, but that was a different year.
This
I'm
is
trying to think what
2017.
2017 was.
Did they just send Vegas? Did they send Vegas?
One of you might have to raise a hand if you want that second option. What's your answer here, Adamo?
Okay, I'm gonna go. Holy shit! This is like I guess at a left
don't
field.
even
It's like
know,
a
remember.
1 in 60 chance of getting this, or even less. I have no idea. The
Oh, and if you
The-
name the city, you can get a point.
Dude, we don't
Prague.
even know the teams. How the hell are we gonna
Prague?
name us?
I don't know how
Prague.
you guys brains work.
I'm gonna go with that.
Wrong. No.
No, it's not the city. No. Okay.
All right, Evan, you're up, man. Teams, and if you want to get that extra point, lock in the city.
2017.
I'll give you a hint. I won't give you a
Wait,
hint. It's
wait,
very
wait, wait,
random.
Wait.
Very random.
2017. Would it be Boston as one of the teams? Fuck. Would it be Boston and Pittsburgh?
It is also
No.
incorrect.
Oh my god, I'm out.
Jared,
If
give it a
Jared
go.
pulls
Aaron.
it out of his ass.
Why am I thinking that it was in Germany and it was the Edmonton Oilers? And Leon Draisaitl played in Germany.
Oh,
You know, you're onto
And
something, but it wasn't 2017.
All right, we're married.
yeah.
Just
Give us the
86
answer.
this
Everyone-
one.
we give
Donuts
up?
for everyone.
Donuts for everyone. The
Donuts for
correct
everyone.
answer. Playing in the 27 International Series game, it was the first set of games that of this sort of trend. It was the Ottawa Senators versus the Colorado Avalanche in Stockholm, Sweden.
I was actually gonna say Stockholm.
Wait, I actually don't.
That's a
remember.
total guess.
When
No
Yeah,
one said
it's
Sweden,
here.
but I asked
Yeah.
for the city.
I said Sweden.
But I asked for the
One
city,
Oh,
not the
screw
country.
that. Get the country at least. It's the same thing. Tomato, tomato.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's a good.
Anyways.
That's a good question. I like that.
Dude,
The-
I
the
had
boy-
no clue they even played in that game.
No, like I was looking and I was surprised. I'm like, oh wait, I remember a little bit of this. I remember the other ones. I remember the one you said, Jared, in Germany. That one, it was very fresh in my mind. But I want to go like guys that you wouldn't know. Why would there be a Ottawa team in 2017? And I'm thinking maybe so. Eric Carlson might have played a factor in that.
Yeah,
too.
okay.
So
Landeskog.
and Landeskog, yeah. So the boys doink on
donuts.
question 1. Donuts are on the board. We're all tied up at 3 on the season total. We're going to question 2 right as we speak. The Maple Leafs played one of their worst seasons of the decade in 2015 with Randy Carlyle behind the bench. Things began to get even worse for the Leafs coach, leading to his dismissal in January. Who was the intern coach to fill his place? Damo, you are up.
Oh, I already forgot it. Hey, no, Nonis was the GM. The interim head coach was not Paul McFarland. That was an assistant. It wasn't Dave Hack. Was it Dave Hackstall?
Incorrect. Who is next to answer? Put your hand
Holy
up.
crap! I'm annoyed that I don't get.
Who's up, Jared or Evan? Who's going to beat them to the?
To be honest, I have nothing. I'm trying to think.
Man, I made these too difficult. I didn't think they were
No,
that.
it's definitely not.
No, I actually have zero fucking idea.
Jared, I thought you'd have this one in the bag, man.
Was it the that was right before Mike Babcock?
That is correct. Yes. Hence the
I thought
interim.
Shot in the dark. Could I answer one?
Of course.
Mr. DJ Smith.
No.
I love the guy, but he was not the head coach or the intern coach.
I thought it was just
that is
bad.
incorrect.
Former player, right? Right? What's?
No,
oh,
I could
man.
check that for you. I actually can't give you the hint.
Oh, you can't give the hint?
I don't know.
Oh
Should I
my
give a hint?
God.
That's up to
No.
y'all. All of you can agree on that.
I'm good with the
I'm
hint.
just,
Say
I'm
if
just
you
a messenger.
give it.
All right, let me look up some dirt on this guy.
He's gonna be like typing and just like instinctually, just like under his breath, just reading out the name.
No, I was like about to say that and I had stopped myself. So we're Hold on that. Let's see.
Oh, this is really bad. We're a Leafs podcast. I remember
I'm
it
from the
happened
US,
too.
so I get a pass.
Yeah, you get a
Let me
little.
see.
bit.
This
played
news didn't
in
get
the
to US
NHL.
Sports Center.
Well, didn't Carlisle go to the Ducks?
So he
Carlisle-
Come from the Ducks.
He did go to the Ducks, yeah.
Yeah, he did go to
But
the-
the coach that we're talking about here, the answer to this question, did not play in the NHL. I'll give you this hint though. I don't know if this will help you out anything. He was previously a longtime assistant coach for the Nashville Predators, and he was also an intern coach of the Florida Panthers as well.
Didn't help at all. I'm trying to think.
Mario, what are these questions?
What's his
Why not
name?
like who's
What
the
the
captain
fuck
of the
is his
Golden
name?
Knights or like who's
I know. And I gave you a Golden Knights question last week, and you hit it on the head. I actually messed up on that. You got it?
I do.
Who is it?
Peter Horacek.
That is correct.
Let's fucking go.
How did I need to hear the thought process behind how did you get to Peter Horacek here?
Me and my dad argued about it all the time. He always used to yell at Peter Horacek, and I tried to remember back then what was his name, and it was always Peter Horacek.
And you are correct with that. Adamo's on the board here. He's got a 2-0 lead on the scoreboard today, and he is leading the season as of right now, 4-3 as it stands. And we're going into the final question of episode, or the second edition. I keep saying episode of the. Okay.
Hey,
Yo,
Jared.
who's dropping?
Hand
the gloves
slipped,
here?
hand slipped.
Oh yeah, the buzzer's still not working for you over there?
Anyways, let's get right into it. In light of this one, I am expecting full answers. It is going to be a dogfight for that spot, because all of you should know this. In light of the release of NHL 22 with Austin Matthews as the cover athlete, name me every player to sit on the cover of the game since 2013. Evan, you were first to answer. This should be a gimme in my
Yeah, this is
opinion.
a gimme.
Okay, so I'm trying to think. 2013.
So you got to go 2013, 14, 15 in that order until we get to
2013, I think, was Claude Giroux. 2014 was Marty Brodeur, I think. 2015 was Jonathan Taves.
Cut him. Cut him.
What? No. Oh, fuck. 2015 was Bergeron.
Cut.
You're done,
Cut
sir.
Cut him.
I don't get one. Like, shit.
No,
No, man. No.
Fuck.
you threw it away. You were
Jared?
good.
Yeah, it's Jared.
Hey, is it me?
You're up, Jared.
Hey, so do I start from the beginning? Like the
You
two
gotta
he
start
said.
in the beginning. Let's go there.
Okay, so 2013, Claude Giroux. 2014, Martin Brodeur. 2015, Patrice Bergeron. 2016, initially it would have been Taves and Kane together, but they cut him because of the situation, so it was just Jonathan Taves. 2017, Vladimir Tarasenko. 2018, Connor McDavid. 2019, PK Subban. I almost got something mixed. 2020, Austin
It's a
Matthews the first
cakewalk.
time.
It's a
Uh,
cakewalk.
2021, Alex Ovechkin. 2022, Austin Matthews.
Damn it.
Clean sweep. Rinses them out.
I got Bergeron and Taves mixed up.
Would you have had it though?
Yeah, I knew
Did
all
you know
the
the
other
rest?
ones. I knew the other ones.
What-
Yeah, I mean, like,
You know,
I actually thought I thought I wouldn't get 2013, but I was like, I knew it was Claude. I thought it was Claude Giroux.
I remember I got my PS3. I got my PS3 with NHL 13. That's how long ago it was. The PS3.
Jeez. I had my first NHL game I played was 12.
Oh,
Got
that
11.
was
11 was
fucking-
my first one.
I fucked myself because I thought like 15 was when they had the picture of the Stanley Cup, but the game wouldn't have been out.
15 was when they went.
That
to,
wouldn't have been the
They
cover.
they won the cup, but they put it.
Yeah,
Like
but obviously,
I
like,
get how that could.
like NHL 16 would have the cover because like the game would come out after they had won the cup. That's why I got myself confused. I was like, was it Taves and then Bergeron?
Well, regardless, we got Jared. He has hit the board. Adamo has hit the board, and the only person to not hit the board.
Yeah, your
Evan
first
Davis,
question
he
was
will-
BS.
It was a tricky one. I will give you that. I
It was
didn't
very
expect
good.
too many answers, but I don't know. Do you guys like the tricky sort of style, or do you want me to make it dumb it down? A
It
little
was
bit?
tough, but I liked it. It made me
I like
think.
Yeah.
Made you think?
I'm not gonna say make it easier. Like it made for some good content.
We a yes guy on the format. We like it. Buzzer beaters.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. We gotta watch out on Jared though. I'd have to set up a camera there. Don't know if it's just a trigger finger or he's just really. I I don't know. You cheating the system. He's a
60
little too
COD
quick
or,
for the
back in the NHL fights. Probably he grabbed the remote and just absolutely
just spam it.
Mashed the button. Yeah.
Anyways,
Well, I have my finger hovering over. Sometimes I slip up, sometimes I don't.
Ooh, we got a hand up. Another hand up. Well, it's the end of trivia.
Speaking of
You
those
got anything,
trade
Evan?
rumors with Kane, he just got a hat trick.
Put the critics to
course.
bed, baby. Kane
course.
knows what's up. First game back from injury, and he's potting 3. And I'm hoping the Chicago Blackhawks win that game if he's putting 3 in the net. Because with this team, you never know which direction they are going. But for us, you know the direction we are going. After trivia, for now, we will be signing off and concluding the episode of the Leafs Line podcast. That is week 7, episode 7 of the second season of the Leafs Line podcast. A lot of numbers there, but thank you guys all for tuning in. Thank you guys for jumping on the pod. I know we had a quick turnaround time. We put up one Wednesday and we're putting up one Monday. Usually is every Wednesday, but everyone's got their schedules full with stuff with school and all that kind of stuff. And we got Evan here going down to the Leafs Vegas game tomorrow night. It's supposed to be a fun time for him. It's going to be a fun game too. I actually got offered tickets to go. I declined them. Didn't want to see the Vegas Golden Knights Leafs, especially with the Leafs team uncertain in the opening marks of the season. I got to see them when they're hot. I try to plan my tickets and when I'm going to go see a game because it's usually once a year. Got to hit on it, and I don't think that was the right one to go to. But again, Evan's going to be down there. Look out for him in the press box. First Leafs game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm usually never here during.
It's true. That's true.
I try to leave before it gets cold.
I would advise you to bring lots of money because they will bleed you dry down there.
Rope you, man. I was at the Raptors game and I just wanted a bottle of water. It was like $7.
No, I'll be in the press box. Free food.
Oh
free
yeah,
drinks.
true. Yeah,
He's living it easy, man.
Yeah.
He gets the free
Living the
food, the free drinks. We're
I'll
paying
come
$10 for
I'll come back with
M&M.
my tiramisu for.
Oh, no.
Jeez.
Anyways, that concludes episode 7, season 2 of the Leafs Line podcast. Again, thank you guys for hopping on. Thank you guys all for tuning in. And I mean, Evan, I hate to keep bringing in the bad cliche here, but I think you put it on your own terms. Please, you're so good at it. End us off.